Here with me now to discuss all this are Fox News contributor Lisa Boothe and host of the Rob Smith is Problematic podcast. Rob Smith, great to see you both. Lisa, let's start with you. Your take. So much to get into. I just got to hand it over to you. What do you think?
Well, who's standing up for American working families right now, Steve? It's certainly not Joe Biden, who just in the first few weeks of his administration, with a stroke of the pen, decimated union jobs, decimated those American energy jobs. And it's not just the fact that Democrats have really turned their backs on working families. It's that they look down on them. There's this paternalistic arrogance to it with putting someone like John Kerry as the face of your climate agenda, someone that told these workers who just found out that their livelihoods are being destroyed, that the same guy who was voted into office telling them that he would have their backs turned his backs on them. But you have someone like John Kerry telling them, oh, just go learn how to build solar panels. So there's this real arrogance to it as well. So Republicans should be their voice heading into the 2022 midterm, should stand up to those people because they don't have anyone having their backs right now. No one's fighting for them in Washington, D.C.
That's such a great way of putting it. Rob, what do you think?
I think that Republicans should not forget the new people that Trump brought into the party. I count myself as one of these people. I cast my first vote for Republican ever in my entire life for Donald Trump. And I think that if Republicans and conservatives forget these new people that he brought into the party, if they don't know what to do with these people, if they don't know how to use our voices, Republicans will get left behind. So we really do have to really take a look at that and really make sure that we are engaging these new people. And what we also need to do is, I am so tired of our side of Republicans sort of playing defense against the left, sort of just being against everything that the left is for. We have to focus on the ideas that we have because I believe that they are good ones. We have to talk about why big tech censorship is bad. We have to talk about why school choice is good. We have to talk about election integrity because there are a large amount of people who don't feel like their votes counted. So we do have to focus on these issues. We have to focus on the new people that are in, and we also have to learn how to make more arguments about what we are for, Steve.
Totally agree. I mean, that's really, in many ways, the theme of this whole show tonight. But Rob, just quickly before I go back to Lisa, just remind us what did bring you in. I think people would love to hear you explain what it was that led to the fact that you voted Republican for the first time with Donald Trump at the head of the party.
Well, it really was an America First agenda. You know, all your viewers know, and you know as well, that I'm a veteran. I've always loved this country, and I just got the feeling that the left has just left America behind, and they've left the people that love this country behind. But even more so than that, I saw a sort of populism that used to be on the left, but now the left is the party of big corporations. The left is the party of totalitarianism. The left is the party of lockdowns, and I see the Republican Party as the party of freedom. And I saw that really embodied in President Trump. I like that he said what he meant. He said what was on his mind. And he was just open and honest about everything. And that is what I was connecting to, the fact that he was not a politician. And a lot of the new people that came in, I think that they can tell you the same thing. And that is what we want from our candidates moving forward. You just had Matt Gaetz on earlier, a great example of a congressman that is a fighter. The new people that are here because of Trump, and I'm one of those people, we want fighters and we want people that are America first, and we can sniff a neocon out like that. And we know it.
So, Lisa, I just thought the way Rob put it there is just so exactly what I was saying at the beginning. It's positive and it's optimistic and above all, it's attractive. And that's what we need for the future.
Well, and I think there's just going to be so many opportunities for Republicans heading in to the midterm elections. I actually feel really optimistic about Republicans' chances for the midterms because, as Rob pointed out, we've seen so many Americans that have really seen over the past few months that freedom is fleeting. And Rob and I both left New York to come to Florida for those very reasons. You have so many working families, so many small businesses that saw that just, you know, at the drop of a hat, a Democrat mayor and governor can just take away your livelihood, can deprive you from the ability to open up shop and to try to earn a living. Even in school choice, we've really seen, one, just how terrible the teachers' unions are, but also that zip code really determines your future from an education standpoint. We've really seen over the past few months that individuals living in, some poor communities, they don't have the same opportunities that richer families have had for the past few months to pull their kids out of school, to send them to private schools, to form things like pods. So I think there's a lot of opportunity to reach out to disaffected people in this country, even, energy workers who are going to lose their jobs as Joe Biden and John Kerry pursue this leftist climate agenda. I just think there's going to be so many people that are right for a message of freedom, right for a message of, pro-job. Let's get back to the basics of what makes America great, because Joe Biden is inevitably taking us away from everything that makes this country great.
There you are. There was such a great discussion. I just want to quickly give you a moment, Rob, on an issue we've talked about before. Lisa just mentioned it, school choice, particularly an opportunity for Republicans in the light of what's been going on over the last year.
Yes. It's a real big opportunity. And like I said, we have to start talking about why we are for school choice. And I think that with the Biden administration, I'm a glass half full kind of guy. He is absolutely awful for the country. But this is the opportunity to throw out so many red pills right now. And for your viewers that don't know what a red pill is, it means that this is what makes you conservative, right? So we can throw out these red pills. We just have to show people what Joe Biden is doing. Lisa brought up the teachers unions. They are destroying the lives of so many children right now. And we really need to start burrowing down into exactly what is going on here. And we need to figure out a way to effectively convey the message that school choice is the right decision and a right thing to push for the Republican Party. But we also have to connect it to the negative things that people are seeing in their own lives right now, particularly with what is going on with children in the teachers unions.
Well,
Well, there you are. Go on, Lisa, very quickly, please.
Well, I think there's opportunities to dismantle the unions, both what we're seeing on the energy front, where you have union leaders really sold out, those jobs, sold out those individuals who are now jobless as a result of Joe Biden, union leaders not standing up to him, and then also with the teachers' unions as well, and showing that they don't care about the kids, it's about them.
There you are. Listen, honestly, that was so great. I feel so energized. But I feel like I just want to take this discussion and send it to every Republican politician and decision maker in Washington and everyone else and said, just be like Rob and Lisa. That is the future for the GOP. You're going to win every election.
We're not going to argue with you.
Thank you so much. That was so great.